Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll look at a fusion of art and science that focuses on comparisons of Earth and Mars. And we'll learn about a new campaign to fight hunger in Arizona. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Opening arguments for a U.S. Supreme Court case involving Arizona's legislative maps are set for December 8th. The case was brought by Republican activists who claim that the state's Independent Redistricting Commission drew maps that favored Democrats. The plaintiffs say that the maps violate the Equal Protection Clause and the one man, one vote principle. The commission says it was simply trying to comply with the Voting Rights Act. If the High Court sides with the plaintiffs, it would mean a redrawing of many of Arizona's legislative districts. Earth and Mars may have been created together some 5 billion years ago, but they evolved and developed in very different ways. A new book, Earth and Mars, A Reflection, celebrates the life-sustaining nature of Earth and the mystery of Mars with striking images and essays. Stephen Strom, a Harvard-educated astronomer, is here to tell us about the book that he helped create. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Ted. I'm very pleased to be here.
There's a lot of ways I could describe this book. You describe this book. Well,
the book is a combination of images of Mars taken by the high-resolution camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The camera orbits Mars at a height of about 100 kilometers or 60 miles above the surface, and takes photographs of selected regions on Mars. Those photographs are combined with images that I took on the Earth. And what the book aspires to do is to compare the surfaces of Earth and Mars and to try to explain how the surfaces of each planet were shaped by forces such as volcanic activity, wind, and water.
And it looked to me, and I think as well in the description of the book, looking at it as an artist as much as a scientist, correct?
That's right. I've had two passions in life. The first is research in astronomy, and my work focused on how stars and planetary systems formed. But in the late 1970s, I found myself seduced to photograph, particularly the in the Southwest. And while continuing my astronomical research career, I have been photographing in the Four Corners region, and more recently on the Pacific Northwest, and have created during the last 30 years 6 books.
My goodness. Well, let's get to this one now. And the opening photograph of this book kind of says it all, doesn't it? I mean, one of those things looks like life and the other doesn't.
That's right. Mars and Earth were formed, as you said, over 4.5 billion years ago, and both planets at one point in their life were rich in water, but only one, Earth, is at present. Our planet, as you know, as we all know since we're sitting here, is a life-bearing planet. Mars may once have had life. That's still an unknown, but it certainly did have water, and that has been emphasized by recent work, which has shown that not only is there water at the poles and under the surface in the form of ice on Mars, but there appear to be regions in which water is still flowing on the planet, but there are no oceans anymore.
Interesting. We have talked about the seasonal kind of the idea of seasonal water. Now, you mentioned your book separated into 4 sections. The first section is entitled Earth, and this photograph we're going to see a photograph. These are craters. The one on the left is Mars, and the one on the right is, I think, in Namibia. Is that ice I'm seeing on Mars?
That is carbon dioxide ice that you're seeing in the hollow of the crater, as well as a few specks on some of the high regions surrounding the crater. And the pairing, of course, is to try to demonstrate that on both Earth and Mars, bombardment by either comets or asteroids have been a crucial part of the planet's history from its formation to the present.
And it sounds like dune fields, sand dunes, and these fields also a similarity. I mean, good luck to anyone trying to figure out which one is Mars and which one is Earth, but I guess it's the one on the left is Mars, correct?
The one on the left happens to be Mars, and it has that characteristic iron-rich soil that covers the very surface of Mars. And the right-hand image happens to be taken in Death Valley, but both were shaped by wind. Winds on Mars can achieve speeds as high as 150 miles an hour, and although the atmosphere on Mars is very thin, nevertheless, winds can in fact do have enough, can shape dunes.
Yeah, well, those are
other features.
And those are gorgeous photographs there. The next one shows polar ice caps, and again, we got one on Mars, and the one on the right there is in Norway, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's on one of the fjords in Norway. Happened to select a small fraction of the image, which I believe was taken by the astronauts on the International Space Station. But yes, that's right. There's a picture on the left of I believe, the South Pole of Mars.
So we have ice at the poles, and we have dry riverbeds, images of dry riverbeds in here. And again, I mean, this is just amazing. They both look like Earth.
Yes. Well, on the left was an image taken by the Curiosity rover on Mars. It's on the edge of a crater. And on the right is an image taken just east of Flagstaff. Yes, the comparison is pretty remarkable.
The second section of your book is entitled Fire, and I guess you look at like interiors and crusts and tectonic and volcanic activity and those sorts. I was interested to know, no moving plates on the crust of Mars?
There may have been some movement early on in Mars history. There have been some studies which suggest that there was some early displacement of plates on Mars, but tectonic activity was modest compared to what happened on Earth, and on Mars it ceased perhaps a few 100 million years after the formation of the planet.
That being said, what we're looking at, cinder cones and volcanic rock, right. And that's Mars on the left. Mars, I guess, is always going to be on the left, correct? If we could go back to that past one, that'd be cool. Because I think
I've forgotten whether I put in a few to fool you, but generally speaking, yes.
Yeah. So this one again, we're looking cinder cones on Mars and volcanic rock on Earth. Is that true?
That's correct. Yeah, the picture on the right was taken in the Pacific Northwest. In fact, in the San Juan Islands. So.
Oh, beautiful area. My goodness. Next photograph, same thing. Cinder cones from Mars and volcanic rock. And I think that's Idaho. Am I correct on that?
Yes, it is. It's taken in Craters of the Moon National Park or Monument. I can't remember which.
And one more, I think, with Mars and Idaho as a juxtapositions. Again, one of them looks a little drier, not quite as colorful, but they sure look the same.
Yes, and they were chosen for morphological similarity, and also, I mean, I had hoped that they would also evoke, an aesthetic response.
Oh, I'm sure that they definitely do. Third section of the book is entitled Air, How the Atmosphere Reshapes Surfaces. And again, once again, we're looking back at dunes that could be anywhere.
Right. On the left is a dune on Mars, and what you're looking at is about half a mile on a side picture of Mars, and on the right-hand side is a picture taken at in Colorado. And you're looking at about 3 feet or so of sand dunes. So that's why it's taken at Grand Sand Dunes National Monument in Colorado.
Our next one has a shot from Arizona there on the right, and that's a sandstone wall. But what a gorgeous photograph there on the left. That's Mars.
It is Mars, and again, it's about half a mile on the side. Those are dunes on Mars, and the reason that I've chosen a bit of sandstone on the right is that the sandstone on Earth was also molded partly by wind and partly by water.
More dune patterns coming up here. This time New Mexico gets a play on the right. But again, I got to tell you, the one from Mars, the photograph from Mars, seems more striking.
Well, I tend in my photographs to emphasize subtle patterns rather than dramatic patterns, but nevertheless, they both illustrate the effects of wind on the surface of each of the planets.
And that is the result of wind on Mars, what we're looking at.
That is correct, yep.
My goodness. Okay, fourth section is water. Mars was what, like 1/3 covered with water, they think?
That's right, and there is clear evidence of what look to be now dried ocean bottoms. There's evidence that water once flowed vigorously on the surface of Mars. You see features that look like river deltas on the planet, and as I said, there's evidence, direct evidence of water in the form of ice at the poles, water subsurface in the form of ice, water that flows when meteors strike the surface of Mars, and now evidence of very briny flowing water on the surface as well.
What we just saw was ice patterns. I think they were ice patterns on Mars compared to Utah. Is that Utah?
That's right.
And that's your photograph there on the right, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the next photograph has water-eroded channels. Gorgeous on Mars, and where's that other one? Is that Oregon?
The other one is taken on the mid-coast in Oregon, and it's interesting. Again, the scale on the one on the left is about a half a mile, the one on the right is a few feet, and yet the water can form those same fractal patterns that you see that are so characteristic of river deltas.
Boy, fractals plays a big part in a lot of this, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. And the last thing we have here, I believe this is that frozen CO2 from Mars?
That is correct. That's frozen carbon dioxide peaking up in the interstices of a cracked surface, and on the right-hand side is a dried riverbed, happens to be the Dirty Devil River in Utah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Why did Mars, the oceans and the rivers on Mars, they disappeared? Why there, not here?
Well, a crucial difference between Earth and Mars is the fact that the Earth is more massive. The pull of gravity on Earth is stronger. So when water evaporates from the surface of either planet, on Earth, water molecules are held in by gravity, but water molecules on Mars are light enough so that Mars gravity can't hold them in, so that over time, water molecules evaporate from the surface, and eventually the water vapor is lost to space. Helping that process along is the fact that Mars no longer has a magnetic field. Our magnetic field shields our planet from the incoming solar wind. In the case of Mars, the magnetic field is very weak, and as a result, high energy particles from the sun, the solar wind, can penetrate, and collisions between water molecules and the solar wind can accelerate those water molecules and accelerate them to speed so that they escape from Mars's relatively slight gravitational pull.
And I think I followed that too. That's
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No. Last question on the book. I mean, yes, there's science in there. Yes, there's discovery in there. But I found that it really does encourage contemplation, doesn't it?
Well, I'd hoped so. I hoped that the book could be read in two ways. One, as a story told in images, and they're meant to evoke the feeling of both similarities and differences between the planetary surfaces. And the second part, the text that was largely written by Brad Smith, the planetary astronomer, provides some background so that those that are interested in pursuing the why behind the images can find that information as well.
And we do want to thank the U.S. Geological Survey, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the HiRISE camera, the space station, NASA Space Station, NASA Opportunity, and you as well for the great photographs and just a great effort. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you, Ted, for giving me the opportunity to talk about the book.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Hashtag Imagine a Solution is an effort to create a discussion of hunger in Arizona and to involve people in finding a solution. Here with more, we welcome representatives from the groups that helped create the campaign. Cynthia Zwick, Executive Director of the Arizona Community Action Association, and Angie Rogers, President and CEO of the Arizona Association of Food Banks. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Imagine a Solution. What are we talking about here?
Well, we're really talking about a campaign that's intended to raise awareness about the issues facing so many of our Arizona community, the inability to have enough food to eat. And so we're really reaching out to the community and asking them to help us identify solutions to this huge problem here in Arizona.
And doing so by way of 5 videos focusing on stories. Talk to us about that.
We did. In developing the campaign, we recognized the far-reaching effects of hunger. So we thought about some major areas that were impacted by hunger, starting with hunger and just the prevalence that exists. 1 in 5 Arizonans, 1 in 4 children, 1 in 7 seniors. We then took that to talking about what impact that would have. Hunger in education, hunger in healthcare, SNAP and the impact that SNAP has, as well as the economy.
So with these videos, where will they be shown?
Well, we're distributing them through a variety of places. We're using a lot of social media. We're hoping that some of the TV stations are going to pick us up. We've developed some PSAs in addition. YouTube will always hold them, and our websites obviously will focus on it. So we're really trying to push them out as much as we can through a variety of means, and we're really asking those who are engaged in the campaign to help us with that, to help us imagine a solution and share the videos as well.
Is there a target audience for these videos?
There's not a target audience, but I think, as Cynthia points out, we have a number of partner organizations, whether that be the Food Marketers Alliance, the grocers, the Restaurant Association, Blue Cross Blue Shield, a number of other partners that we're hoping that their audiences see the videos as well.
And again, the goal is to create a discussion of hunger in Arizona. You kind of mentioned that off the top, but give us more of an explanation creating a discussion of hunger in Arizona. What does that mean?
I think for me it meant I have this growing discontent about acceptability of hunger and recognizing what I continue to hear of some level of acceptability. When you walk into a classroom, how many children is it okay that go hungry that night? And I think we heard that from so many of our partners, that we wanted to be able to feed kids and feed them well. And what is it going to take for us to get there?
And again, is that how you see it as well? I mean, there are discussions regarding hunger in Arizona, but are some of those discussions are people just not paying attention anymore?
Well, I don't know if it's that people aren't paying attention. I think there's been a lot of discussion around poverty and the impact that it has, and I think one of the serious impacts is people going hungry. But we think it gets overlooked often, and when we see things happening at the state level to sort of diminish support for families that need help, we think it needs more and more attention. As Angie said, I don't want to be the one who has to decide who gets to eat and who doesn't if I'm a teacher in a classroom. And I want to have kids who can focus and learn. And the problem is if so many children going hungry, it affects all elements of their life, all aspects of their life. It affects their health, it affects their ability to learn, it affects their ability to contribute to the economy down the road. So we think it's an issue that needs continuous discussion and more done to help resolve it.
And again, one of the goals is to involve people to find a solution. How do you involve these people? Who are these people? What kind of solution are you looking for?
Well, we're not going to be exclusionary at all. We hope every Arizonan will participate in this public awareness campaign. Again, our efforts are focused day to day on feeding people, what we consider feeding the line in our food banks. But we also want to engage people in shortening the line. What can we be doing to make sure that folks are not in food bank service areas to begin with?
And I was reading about this and I found the phrase food insecurity. What does that mean?
Yeah. The way that food insecurity is defined is lack of a regular source of healthy and nutritious foods to be able to lead an active life. So while we may be able to distribute, or kids may have access to a bag of Doritos on a day-to-day basis, I think all of us would agree that is not nutrition.
Indeed. Just this limited and uncertain availability, a lot of it going on out there, isn't there?
There's a lot going on. We were talking earlier, there's about 1 million people right now on SNAP, or formerly known as food stamps in Arizona. The food banks are able to feed about 128,000 of those people a week. So there's this huge number of people who don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They're not getting 3 meals a day necessarily, and as Angie indicated, they're not nutritious. So we're trying to make sure that people understand what the issues are so we can find resources, find solutions, and really have a discussion that's bigger than the discussion that's been going on.
Does the discussion include other factors, healthcare costs, for example, the local economy? Does it include everything under that umbrella, or is it targeted only to food?
No, it includes everything. I mean, if people are hungry, it affects every aspect of their life. We talked about it affecting kids in school. It does affect health. One of the doctors in one of the videos talks about how we think of hunger as just the inability to eat, but what we're seeing is they're not eating nutritious foods. There's a lot of obesity that's coming about. Diabetes is a growing concern. So health issues become huge, and that's a cost to the community as well. And then in the economy, if you're not able to get a good education and move on, get a good job, you're not contributing the way you would like to, or that we would like everyone to be able to.
Yeah, you mentioned education. You both have mentioned kids, the impact of education on this issue.
Yeah, well, I think so much of what we know is hungry kids can't learn. If you have a child sitting in a classroom who is not prepared to start his work that day, they may be distracted, they may have behavior issues. They're certainly seeing the nurse more often, but we've talked with teacher after teacher and school administrator. In fact, one of the videos you see Dr. Smith talk about kids that come to him and say, I haven't eaten this week, or I haven't eaten over the weekend, and what can we do to be making sure that those kids get access to healthy meals?
Is there a solution? I mean, is a solution to hunger in Arizona possible?
We absolutely believe so. I think there is no magic bullet. I think it is going to take all of us. I think it's going to, again, evolve us looking at just immediately feeding people today to looking at what solutions can be for a greater economy for everyone tomorrow.
I think, yeah, because people hear this and they think that they've heard this before, and you hear about fighting, hunger, right. But a solution to hunger, that sounds pretty bold.
Well, yeah, I think it is pretty bold, but the reality is there are a couple things that we know that will help. Living wages in Arizona will help, and if families are, 2/3 of the poor are working, but they're working in low-wage jobs. So 25% of the jobs in Arizona, as an example, are low-wage jobs. If we have living wages for all of the folks that are working, they can make ends meet, and they're not going to be hungry. They're not going to need assistance. They're not going to need the SNAP program. So that's a piece of it. Education is clearly another piece of it. We know there are solutions, and we're just looking for additional ways to identify them and come up with some creative discussion.
And last question, how does this effort differ from other efforts in fighting hunger or finding a solution to hunger? What's different about this?
Well, I think, again, we came at this with, we don't have all the solutions. I think so many campaigns come with an end game. Raising funds, always a great strategy. A campaign that has an end result. We're really looking at this as we all want to come to the table, invite the conversation, encourage people to look at hunger in a different way and look at your neighbor possibly in a different way.
And again, it's Imagine a Solution. And you can go online, you got the hashtag, you got the whole 9 yards, right? I mean, it's...
We do. You can go to both of our websites and imagine a solution.
All right, very good. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, we will hear about a study that supports the governor's education funding plan. And Arizona's poet laureate, Alberto Rios, talks about his latest book of poetry. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Virginia G. Piper Charitable Trust. Committed to changing lives and strengthening community through investments in nonprofits and strategic initiatives. More information at pipertrust.org.